Goodbye. So, hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Straight Out the Group Chat. I want to thank y'all again for coming. We're running a little bit behind. Also, trying to make sure I lighten this together with this thing, everything. So, tonight we have a special guest. Some of you may know, some of you may not know. This is my mother, Miss Davis. I'm gonna be calling her Miss Davis. I don't want to call her mom all night. So, the basis of this show is for Demetria and I to talk to different people and get different perspectives on the show. So I wanted to invite my mother on here so that she's able to share her experiences in terms of her children and things like that. So I got a few questions to ask her tonight, and hopefully, what she experienced, what she went through, is able to educate and empower someone else. So how you feeling tonight, Ma?
I feel pretty good. I thought you were gonna say Miss Davis.
Oh, it's it's definitely the same. Miss
You
Davis.
gonna say Miss Davis or Mom? I mean, it's all good.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So my first question I have for you is, so I want you to just talk about active parents versus absent parents, and then how would you define the two?
Well, I'm just gonna say for me and my experiences, um, of course, we all know an active parent is involved as opposed to an absent parent who's not involved. And for as my experiences, I just feel like it's important to show up, be present. Um, I can hear the elders, the elders, or I can hear my grandmother, my aunties, how they would say, if you lay down and make the baby, you get up and take care of it. So that was always my thing, choices I made, and I just had to live with my choices. But more importantly, I had to make sure that I was being active, involved, and giving you the best, you and Trevin, the best that I had at the present time.
Right. I like that answer. So I mean, do you feel like, in terms of your personal experience, if you feel comfortable with sharing, um, with people, the men that you
Okay.
created children with, what was your, I guess, experience? Well, like, what do you feel comfortable with sharing about that? Do you feel like, like, did it impact you in terms of motherhood, or like, how did you feel about it?
Well, if I was to be honest and just say, it's just two different experiences, two totally different experiences. Of course, people who know me, they know I had Trevin at a very young age, and
Mhm.
I honestly didn't know how to be a mother because I was so young. It was basically raising a child as a sibling, you might as well say, because I was so young. Um,
Right.
I think for the people that helped me along the way, I watched them, they gave me knowledge and information so I could, you just do the best that you can do. And I think that was the thing with me. I knew I had this child, and I'm just grateful that I wasn't a parent who wanted to put him off on other people.
Right.
I resumed the responsibility of being a parent and just, did the best that I could at the time, considering my age and life experiences. Now, whereas with you, I think I was a little more seasoned. You know, you don't always get it right with that first child. Now, for me, I know I made mistakes along the way. Um, for one, being a young parent, I made mistakes along the way. But then when I had you, I was a little more knowledgeable about parenting and how to parent. So I think it was just a difference. But for as, like I said, the active part of it, I just had to do what I had to do. And if that
Mhm.
meant working two jobs to take care of you and take care of the both of you and leaning on family to help babysit, that's what I had to do. Because people do the best with what they have.
Right.
Just make do of it. And that was my situation. I just had to make do of what I had, from my choices that I made. for his parenting.
Your son in the chat.
Hey, Trap.
um, for the for the other question I have for you is what worked? What worked for you when you had your children? What do you feel like what worked for you when you were raised when you raised us or were raising us?
Whew. Wow. So the things that work for me, for one, I think again, I did the best that I could do, but I do believe in discipline, and I think for me, discipline was at the center of everything. Um, I, I but I had to, people say, well, you had to be a mother and a father. No, I just had to be a strong mother who wasn't gonna take any junk. And like I said, that's what worked for me. Um, Discipline, love, nurturing, those things work because like I said, I didn't know a lot about nurturing when I had Trevin, but when you came along, I was better at it. Again, having the first child, making those mistakes, self-correcting, and being a better parent once you have your second child. When I had you, I thought I was better when I had you. Like I said, I made mistakes along the way, but discipline was front and center. Discipline, because you're not going to be anywhere acting like you don't have home training.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I it's a lot of things that probably that I did that I was afraid to do just because I was like, oh, mama gonna rip. Oh, I'm gonna get me. A lot of stuff I was afraid to do, but also a lot of it was like I didn't want to disappoint you. I think when I was like a little girl, I learned early on. I just, how girls watch their mom, and so I
Yeah.
just would just watch you and how you were. And I remember you used to always go in, like when we was getting ready for work, you would just put your makeup on, and I was like, I just want to be just like you obviously, and so. I just remember a lot of it, like I didn't want to disappoint you because I did value and I still do value your opinion a lot. So I think a lot of it, the bulk of it for me, just because, I mean, I didn't get in trouble nearly as much as Trip did. But, but like I said, I think I just, like, again, I paid attention to a lot of stuff and I also did not want to disappoint you. So I just, try to do the best that I could in a sense of, I just didn't want to make you upset. And then too, I only got one whooping though.
Yeah, he did just one.
Yeah, I
But
did.
the thing about it, Shay, um, as I said, being a young parent, I made mistakes along the way. I'm not too
Yeah.
proud to say that I didn't make mistakes. I had Trevin at a very young age, and I don't really want to disclose my age. I'd rather do that in a more intimate setting.
Right.
But I had Trevin at a very young age, and in spite of everything that we've been through, I think, like I said, I think the discipline, I had to discipline him because, for one, people always say, well, it's hard for a boy to relate to a woman, for as, raising them. And my thing was, I know my mistakes hindered the growth sometimes. And what I mean by
Mm-hmm.
that, for Trevin, he had men, the preachers and the community leaders and the coaches in his life, but still being in the house with two women, I can only imagine how he felt at times, because I know it had to be rough for him. I know it had to be rough because where we can relate
Mm-hmm.
as women,
Right.
sometimes I think it's hard for men or boys to relate when it's just a house full of women.
Yeah.
I do.
I,
I feel as that.
yeah, I could see that. Um, next question I have for you is what have been some of the biggest challenges you faced as an active parent or, an involved parent? What are some of the biggest challenges you face raising your children?
Well, I think first and foremost, finances. I think money, people say, well, are they using the money to take care of the child and all, all that hoopla? Or you gonna use the money to go out and buy things for you? you know,
Mind my
I
business.
just never in my life. I mean, honestly, I was the mother who the child support when I did receive child support. Um, I spent the money on my children because in my mind, consciously, I just could not take the money and go spend on me buying shoes and outfits. It was very important to me. It was very important to me that I took the money and bought you clothes. I mean, bought Trevin clothes and done right by the child support when it did come in. Like I said, you hear a lot of things. People like, well, she ain't taking the money to take care of the child, and she doing this and she's doing that. But once the money comes through the mail, it's up to the individual,
Thank
the,
you.
the parent on the other end who received the child support, because they
Right.
may need that money to pay a light bill. You still have to
Mm-hmm.
provide a house and shelter for your child. But like I said, and I don't know if it was out of pettiness that people get upset, if it's from pettiness or just I don't know, just wanting to control the narrative. But you do what you have to do to take care of your children, and that's what
Yeah.
I never took the child support money to spend it on me. But like I said, finances was a major. What did you? I'm sorry. What did you say it was? It was a
Well,
major.
I just was asking like one of your biggest challenges, but I mean to
Oh,
your point, I think what happens with the hey say Mercedes in here too.
okay.
Um
Yeah.
I
And
think
so
I think when you're talking about, the challenges in terms of finances, I can remember like you didn't get child support like that though, ma. Like you got it
no, I did not. Oh
rarely.
God, yeah.
Very rarely.
I did not, but I was not going to sit around and wait for a check in the mail.
Right.
And my thing was, like I said, I worked. I always worked. I've been working since I was 14 years old. So I
Right.
don't have a problem with working. But, like I said, as far as the financial piece, I can recall in my mind, when y'all were in fifth grade, the fifth graders would take a trip to Washington, D.C.
Yep.
Now, Trevor was not able to go because I just did not have the money. I was not able to
Hmm.
send him. And when you came along and passed through fifth grade or went to fifth grade, you were able to go. But because I was in a better situation financially,
Hmm.
and trying to provide for you all. But then I thought back over that, Shalonda, thought back over that thought. Well, Dad, Trevor didn't get to go to DC, with his
Hmm.
friends. He had to stay at the school. He had to stay at the school and probably do work, or unless they let him go hang out somewhere in the gym. But finance, I mean, money is important when you're trying to
It
take care of
is.
children. And
It
whether the
truly is.
absent parent, whomever, male or female, you have to provide money. You have to send the money to help take care of your children. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Yeah.
important. There are things going on at school. Kids want to go through the lunch line, buy ice cream. They
Yep.
want to get cookies and chips. That money will help with that. So, I mean, it's just some challenges that I face, but I never just cried wolf and like, oh, I'm not going to make it, because there is a higher power.
Right.
And
Right.
I'm connected to the higher power. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I see back to your point when you're talking about child support, I remember distinctly um I think I might have been working at KFC, but just to when you were talking about working, I think that was kind of around the time where when I started working, I was like, "Ma, you could keep that child support card," because it was for me, and I'm just being honest. I wanted more of the time spent as opposed to child support, and so I wasn't getting that. So I was like, "Well, at that point, I mean, if it's like that, I don't even like you can have it. Do
Yeah.
whatever you want to do with it." But I just didn't want to be connected to that. So I do agree with you. When you said about money is very important when you're raising children. I mean, small things like the book fair, going to the
Yeah.
book fair. I mean, kids want to do stuff like that. So I definitely
Almost
think that is
definitely.
very important, when you decide to have fun making children.
And I remember, Shay, when you were, I want to say maybe middle school, I don't know, maybe in high school, but I remember you were going through this Hollister stage. And of course, that's what you wanted to wear. So I wanted to make sure that's what I was able to go in the store and get you at the time. You wanted to wear Hollister. And I don't know if it's because it was a trend back then, but I do recall you wanted to wear that name brand of clothing. So, parents, as mothers, we want to make sure. Now, sometimes people overdo it. I don't think I overdid it with you too. I tried to do what was best and what was feasible for us as a family. But I think some parents overdo it because I would never ever go out and buy $200 and $300 pair of shoes. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother topic. But to each his own. If that's what people choose to do with their finances, that's fine. But
Yeah.
you all still look good. I mean, you can take and put something together and look good. And as long as
Yeah.
you're clean and you're smiling,
Yeah.
it makes a difference. Yeah.
I agree. What coping strategies did you develop to deal with stress and fatigue when you were raising us?
Well, and I'm just going to be transparent. I did a lot of crying. I did. I cried a lot because, and to share, to be very transparent, I can recall the holidays, especially I think Easter. Easter was one of those things, the holiday that I sort of like, felt down and out because I was not able to always do for you and Trevin. And I didn't cope back then. I didn't cope. I recall myself crying, going to like a fetal stage, and just not wanting to be bothered, not wanting to do anything. But as I grew older and learned more about what's the real meaning of Easter, um, I was able to deal with things,
Hmm.
always, believing in a higher power once I understood that, and just clinging to that, really just clinging to that. Let me just share this. I remember mama will always want to buy you and Trevin things, but people will never understand when you want to be able to take care of your children and do for them, you want to be able to take care of your children and do for them, regardless who buys them what.
Right.
Grateful. I was grateful. I'm telling you, I was grateful and I appreciate it, but still, it wasn't like me taking care of you two going out and getting what I wanted you to have for Easter. So that was one of the times in my life where I know I didn't cope. Like I said, I grew stronger in my faith. I understood the real meaning of Easter because he died for us, and I started celebrating. So one of the things I always like to do, Touche, is walk. I enjoy walking. Um, my younger self used to go to the gym all the time, go to the Y and work out. Um, and like I said, just listen to music. I love music.
Yeah, you
Listen
do.
to music around the house. It allows me to cope with things, staying connected, which that. um, and just taking time for me. I think walking now is just the main thing, being able to release those good endorphins in my brain because, trials and tribulations came. And you're on the back end of a lot of things when it comes to raising children because you all are grown now. But I just feel like I had to do something because if not, you end up being a depressive state and you'll find yourself just like shutting down and not being able to parent or take care of your children. And I'm just
Hmm.
grateful that, I surpassed a lot of those things.
Yeah, I can remember my. I don't. I mean, a lot of stuff I remember, but
That's good.
I can remember when we lived in the projects, and this one you used to work. You worked 12 hours then, right?
I did. I did.
You worked you worked 12 hours then, and I remember one day I had came down the stairs, and it was like when you were talking about being in the fetal position. I remember you was like laying across the
Yeah.
couch, and you just
Yeah.
seemed because I mean I've always been in tune with you. You ain't gotta say a lot around me. I
Yeah.
can kind of tell how you feeling. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, I was a little girl then, but I still remember it. It just was
Yeah.
something was off. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, to your
Yeah.
point, we were talking about being in the fetal position and all that. I was just
Yeah.
that brought came back to my mind.
Yeah, because it bothered me. It bothered me to the point. I'm surprised. I mean, you really paid attention.
Yeah.
But it did. It used to bother me to, whew, I did. I would just sit there and be depressed and not even go to church because I could not do for y'all like I wanted to.
Mm,
And, like I said, that was my younger self, but looking back at my older self now, ugh, that'll never keep me from church because I
right.
understand now the full reason, the full meaning of Easter. But it was, like I said, it hurts when you can't do for your children like you want to. And I don't care what nobody says. As a parent who wants to take care of their children, and if you can't
Yeah.
provide for them financially and get them those
Right.
little extra things they want sometime within reasoning, it hurts as a parent when you cannot provide for your child like you want to. I'm telling you, it does.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. My next question is, did you have a support system like family, friends, community that helped you, and how did they support you when you were raising us?
Well, absolutely. When I think back over, when I just think back over, like I said, a lot of my experiences came with Trevin, and I'm sure you understand that
Mm-hmm.
because I had Trevin at such a young age. But when I shared on your podcast earlier, a couple weeks ago, that the village was intact for me. I
Mm-hmm.
had my family first and foremost, and I'm not going to call names, but I do want to call one name in a minute. I had my family, and I had civic leaders, the preachers, like I said, Reverend Johnson. He was very adamant about keeping Treb under his wing, because I had y'all in church, and church was important.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Teachers, coaches, it was just so many people that helped me along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And the name that I really want to call, I just thought about Mr. J.C. Robinson today.
Oh yeah.
Mr. JC, this one we lived on Douglas Drive, and
Mm-hmm.
Mr. JC, he would get you and I in that car and take
Yeah.
us to wherever Trevor was playing, whether it was at Dope
Yeah.
Park, whether it was away games,
He
anywhere.
did.
He made sure that he transported us. And I'm just so grateful that I never forget Mr. JC. He made sure that I got to where I need to be to get there to support my son. I
Yeah.
never forget him. And I'm quite sure you remember it too, because you were a little girl back then, but
Yeah, I
I'm sure you
remember.
remember it. Yeah.
He used to
But
come
I,
get us in
I
it.
I'm a firm
What
believer. Huh? What'd you say,
what kind
Shay?
of
What'd you
car
say,
was
Shay?
that? What kind of car he drove? That big, what was
That
it, a
blue car.
brown?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know if it was a Grand Marquis or what. I don't know. I don't know what kind of car it was,
He
but I
had
remember that
like
blue car.
velvet interior or something in that car.
Mr. JC was faithful to. I'm telling you, he
Trell said,
was hot.
Trell said it was a Lincoln, ma.
Oh, it was a Lincoln. Oh, it wasn't a Grand Marquis. I don't know, but Mr. JC, made sure, because when
He
you try
did.
to work and juggle all that, being at the baseball
Mhm.
field or being in a track field or football field, I mean, it's a lot. And then,
Yeah.
like I said, my sense of direction was not the greatest, but he just was adamant about making sure we got there to support
He
Trevin,
did.
and I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that. So it
Yeah.
was
Miss
just a
Bessie.
plethora of people who helped me along the way.
Hmm.
The village has always been intact for me. Like I said, when you came along, I had more skills up under my belt. Um, I can also remember that when I got pregnant with Trevin, trying to just finish school, trying to finish school and
Mm-hmm.
graduate on time. Now
Mm.
that was, whoo, it wasn't even that hard for me. It's just that I was probably one of the first ones to be in high school pregnant. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
I never forget, I'm not gonna call names. I never forget this teacher. That's when they had night school. I never forget she was trying to tell me, well, you're gonna have to go to night school to finish up. I said, oh no, I will graduate with my class and I will graduate on time. But like I said, that was, back in the days when I guess it was like looked at, ooh, she's pregnant. But
Mm.
and I was able to graduate with my class and graduate on time. But there was again community people helping me out, who would babysit for me and keep Trevin while I finished up school. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Yeah.
Wow. The next question is, what values or lessons were most important for you to teach us?
So let me say this, Shay. I think growing up around my great grandmother and growing up around, older people, I think we as adults or our grown selves now as parents, we've gotten away from some of that teaching and upbringing. You know,
Mm.
um, what worked for me is most definitely making you all be respectful.
Oh
First and
yeah.
foremost, being respectful, saying yes, ma'am, and
Mhm.
no, sir. That means a lot, And now I know parent, they parent differently now. And when I'm in the classroom, I have to say, well, you don't have to say yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am, but you say yes and no. It's not
Mhm.
yeah and and what.
Right.
That's not respectful. And most
Right.
definitely don't say bruh, which they didn't say bruh back then. But oh no, oh no, oh no, bruh. But I think just some of my upbringing, just like I
Mhm.
said, the respect, being respectful,
Mhm.
and working hard. Those are the things that I try to deposit into you and Trevin. Most definitely, respect can carry a long way.
For
You know,
sure.
being respectful. And
Yeah.
like I said, work hard. People see your work. People see your work. And those are two things I think I had, for us trying to deposit in YouTube. Work hard and people see your worth. People see what you're doing. So those are the things I think that really helped me. And that's what I would say for us, sharing with other parents. Go back to some of those old things that we grew up on. I said,
Yeah.
it's not going to hurt the children. It's not going to
Right.
hurt them. No,
Right.
it's not going to hurt them. That's just what I think. That's what I believe in.
Yeah, I think a big, I'm not me saying yeah, but yes, I think a big thing for me, growing up under, your rules and under your roof, and just making sure, once again, like you said, being respectful. I think a lot of people now moving, where I am now, it's like a lot of people like, well, don't call me ma'am, don't call me sir, I'm not that old. But it's just, again, and I try to tell
Yeah,
them, it's just how I was raised. It's not like I'm
right.
calling you old. It's just,
Yeah,
that's how I was brought up.
mannerism.
So it's right.
Yes,
And I really like, to your point when you were saying getting back to some of the older things. I definitely
yes,
think that, those basic manners, yes sir, no sir, excuse me, please, thank you, things
yes.
like that. Again, like I said the other day, I mean, they've gotten me far in life. And I think that is a testament to, how you were raised. I've had a lot of people tell me, like, I don't know your mama, but she did a good job with you. So it's just, those, again, those small characteristics, those, those little things that's just free. You don't even have to,
Yeah.
it's not that big of a deal, but it's second nature to me. And I
Mhm.
think people do get impressed with things like that. I remember one of your friends,
Oh,
your colleague, Miss Gurley, she used to be so impressed when I used to come around here and say, yes, ma'am. Uh,
yeah.
I'm
Man,
like,
it
it's
carry a
not
long
that
way in life.
serious. Yeah.
But it will. It'll carry a
Mhm.
long way in life. And like I said,
Yeah.
that's what we had to do. You don't
Hmm.
walk between people when they're talking. I correct children all the time. Go around, but we have to do that. I mean, it's not going to hurt them. We have to
Right.
teach our children. And that's what I just tried to do with what I had, what I observed, what I learned growing up. I just tried to deposit those things into you and Trevin. Yeah,
Yeah.
most
I think
definitely.
another thing too is, what I really remember is not talking when adults talking. Like, I remember I used to try to come in there, I used to be on the phone because I want no tea.
Yeah, I know you do.
And you used
Uh,
to say, you don't
uh-uh.
got no
Oh
business up
no.
here. Go in the room with grandpa talking.
Mm-mm. Oh, listen. And you know the thing about it, it's a trip because you can see kids doing it. I know the other day when I went to visit a family and the little child tried to come on the porch and the parents said, get in the house. I just want to bring your phone to you.
Yeah.
But it does. It makes a difference. You cannot sit around. Oh no, when
Yeah.
I'm talking to an adult, it's an adult conversation. I don't need a 9-year-old or 10-year-old interjecting in my conversation. No, ma'am.
Right.
No, ma'am. So those are some things that we have to get back to. We have to get back
Hmm.
to those things. It
I
didn't
agree.
hurt y'all.
No, it made us better. We better from it too.
Woo, yes, Lord.
Well, Ma, I think we are out of time now. I want to thank you for coming on here, and also thank you for you know how you raised us and took care of us. Um, I don't think mothers or parents get their flowers as much as they should. So I just want to take the time to thank you for being present, being active, for who you are in my life, and your sacrifices again that you made publicly and privately. I have the world of respect for you as a woman and also as my mother, and I want to let you know that I love you. You know I love you, and thank you so much for your support. And I
Well,
will you gonna come back on here again. Demetri gonna want to
I
talk to
may,
you.
but I'm very proud of you and Trevin. But I know I couldn't have done the job without people helping and what people deposit in me. So I'm very grateful. I'm very proud of the both of you. But just keep striving. Just keep
Yeah.
striving, and you'll get where you need to be. Most
Yeah.
definitely.
I want to ask you one last thing. I know we didn't go over this one without another.
Okay, it's okay.
But I want to ask you one last thing. If there's a bit of advice that you could offer to the younger parents, women that or men
Mhm.
that decided to have children at a younger age and that are raising children right now
Right.
in this society or in this generation, what bit of advice would you offer them right now today?
Well, I think first and foremost, I think we have to be transparent, but we also have to be vulnerable. And I think people are afraid, especially our race of people,
Mm-hmm.
they're afraid to let people know that they don't know something. But how can
Mm-hmm.
you learn it if you don't ask? And I always been told if you don't know something, you got to ask questions. You better
Mm-hmm.
ask and find out.
Uh-huh.
So, ask questions. If you're not sure about something, and if you don't want to ask them in person, send them a note,
Right.
message them, have somebody to go with you if you don't feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable enough to ask those questions. But we have to get back to some of those basics of helping one another and pouring into one another because we've moved away from that. And I think
Mm-hmm.
as a race of people, we have to get back to some of those upbringings and helping our young people because it's not easy. And as a young parent, you don't know everything, you don't know a lot, but you have to be able to trust someone that's going
Mm-hmm.
to help lead and guide you. But
Mm-hmm.
stop. Let the guard down. I think that's important.
Okay.
You have to be vulnerable and ask those questions if you don't know. And I think
Okay.
pride gets in the way. Pride gets in the
Mm-hmm.
way of a lot of our families that they don't want to ask questions because we want to know it all. I didn't know it all. I paid attention. If I didn't know something, I asked questions.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great bit of advice, and thank you for that one. And so we're gonna hop off, y'all. I know Mercedes and Trev on here. Thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure y'all comment, like, subscribe on the video. We're coming back on, I think Thursday. I'll be back on Thursday live. So make sure y'all check that out, and I'll see y'all in the next video.